Okay, everybody, I'm back with another Barna Group study. This one is called Connecting the Spiritually Curious to Christ. And as of November 2023, a remarkable 82% of U.S. adults say they believe or are open to the possibility that a spiritual or supernatural dimension exists. Additionally, 74% express a desire to grow spiritually, and 79% affirm their belief in a higher power. A majority in our midst are open to tapping more deeply into their spiritual life. They're curious. They are more open to Jesus than we might otherwise imagine. When he helped Barna Group CEO David Kinnaman analyze the frame the research of this book, You Lost Me, back in 2010, it was fascinated with the profile of those they came to call prodigals. Prodigals are ex-Christians, individuals who once identified as Christians but no longer do. And it isn't that they just left the church. They left their faith behind too. At that time, prodigals made up about 11% of individuals ages 18 to 29 that they had surveyed. That number actually doubled to 22% in less than a decade later, doing that same age group. Often when we think about people like that, we think evangelical or deconstructing as a caution to other Christians. But actually, they found in the prodigals that they didn't match the picture of anti-Christian intellectual wanting to debate and destroy the believers, the Christian faith. There were usually two reasons why these individuals left the faith and church. First, they had been hurt by someone in the church or some collective of the church. They'd put their trust in a Christian or maybe a church, and they'd been betrayed, hurt, or even abused. Maybe they'd turned to the church at a time of need and found their concerns dismissed or belittled. Maybe they'd been hurt by someone in the church, and the church itself was more interested in protecting its reputation than protecting them. Many of these people were angry or mad at the church, but more out of the hurt and less out of intellectual disagreement. Second was a group of people who decided they just didn't believe the tenets of the faith anymore. Some had stronger reasons and feelings than others, but surprisingly, most still held positive views of the church than their parents. Some even noted that they waited until college to leave the faith because they didn't want to hurt their parents. One prodigal told me they wished they could believe, but they just couldn't. I'm glad David chose to label this group prodigals because it's more helpful than atheists or ex-Christians. We often expect non-believers to be hardcore atheists like Madeleine Murray O'Hair or Richard Dawkins, who aren't just atheists, but anti-Christian, with an almost militant nature. And I'm going to tell you now, I ran into one of these guys recently. He thinks the universe and the world has always just been there. There is no God involved. And he's doing his part to try to stop Christians to get out and sharing their faith because he thinks that it's like a death cult and they're scaring people. Well, number one, I have challenged him and I have not heard back from him to the like that he can ever quote anywhere where I tried to scare someone into being a Christian. I openly share my faith. I openly encourage people to look into and learn what Jesus really wanted people to do in following him, what he showed us and what he taught us. And it doesn't have anything to do with scaring people. And it doesn't have anything to do with, well, never mind, we'll go on. Barna's research says this simply isn't the reality. After looking at the prodigals and matching that data with his own experience with non-Christians, he began calling it the age of polite atheism. These people choose disbelief in God, but they're okay with others believing something else, and often have an appreciation for those who do. The reason for this book, two aims. First was to help people understand the spiritually curious in a deeper way. The second was to help make a shift in a way that we are personally and collectively practicing Christianity. And again, that would be Christianity the way Jesus meant us to, which means these people that have been de-churched and unchurched, when somebody think about it this way. When somebody walks into your building, your church group gathering, and they're gay, it's a gay couple, how does your church group react? When somebody walks in all tattooed up and smelling like alcohol, how does your church or group react? And I could go on and on and on and on. Now think about this same line. If somebody walked in all tattooed and smelling like alcohol to Jesus and his disciples, how would he react? If a gay couple walked into Jesus and his disciples, their ecclesia, the church, how would he react? We both know he would love and accept them and try to teach them, not shun them, not mock them, not talk them down. This is why some people have such a bad taste for Christianity and the Christian religion. Come on, people, pay attention to what Jesus really asks us to do. In Jesus' name, I pray, amen.